Every single day, thousands of security cameras record the most ordinary scenes. People coming and going, quiet routines, moments that mean nothing at all. But sometimes, that's just not the case. Hidden among all that normal footage, some cameras end up capturing events so bizarre, so terrifying, or just completely unexplainable that they defy all logic. These are moments that come out of nowhere, catch everyone off guard, and more often than not, leave you with way more questions than answers. And that is exactly what you're going to see right here today. So go ahead and drop a like, hit that subscribe button down below, and let's get into it. A security camera inside an office just caught something completely unexpected, starring a professional who appeared to be there all alone. In the footage, she's sitting at her desk just like any normal workday, but then at a certain point she looks around, realizes nobody else is there, gets up, walks over to the copy machine, lifts up her shirt, exposing her chest, and leans down, pressing exactly that part of her body onto the copy machine's scanning surface, which then prints out a copy on paper of exactly what you think. She picks up the printout, looks it over, checks the result, folds it neatly, and puts it away. And once the footage went viral, everyone started asking the exact same question. What was she planning to do with that copy? The mystery remains unsolved. Back in March of 2015, a video caught the attention of thousands of people around the world by showing a scene that was equal parts shocking and adorable. A 2-year-old girl walking alone in the middle of the night. The footage, captured by security cameras at a convenience store inside a gas station in the United States, shows the little girl crossing the street completely unaccompanied by any adult and walking into the store like it was the most normal thing in the world for a kid her age. According to reports from the time, the girl had apparently left home on her own, with one simple innocent goal in mind. She wanted to buy candy. Determined as ever, she made the trip by herself, walked right up to the store, pulled the door open, and started making her way through the aisles. At one point, she even tried to pay for the items she picked up, pulling out a few coins she had brought along with her. The situation quickly caught the attention of the store manager, who realized this was a very young child completely alone and did the right thing, stopping her from wandering out again and calling the authorities. Shortly after, police arrived and the little girl was safely taken to the station, where her parents were located and called to come pick her up. Apparently, she had slipped away without her parents even noticing and just walked over on her own, since the store was really close to her house. And thankfully, it all ended well. Everyone was safe, the little girl was reunited with her family, and it's a great reminder of how important it is to have people around who actually pay attention. Back in May of 2017, a shocking and infuriating incident caught everyone's attention after security camera footage captured the actions of a man who quickly became known online as the evil neighbor. It happened during a children's birthday party where a bunch of kids were having the time of their lives jumping around in an inflatable bounce house set up in the backyard. The man was caught on camera walking up to the fence, watching everything going on, and then doing something incredibly dangerous. He simply walked over and unplugged the bounce house from the outlet. Now, at the exact moment he did that, 12 children were inside that thing, and these inflatables depend entirely on a motor to stay inflated. The second the power was cut, the bounce house started deflating fast, and the entire structure collapsed right on top of the kids. It turned into absolute chaos in an instant, with parents sprinting over in a panic, desperately trying to pull their children out from under all that heavy material before something even worse could happen. Two children actually had to be taken to the hospital after the incident, and while thankfully neither of them suffered any fatal injuries, the scare and the danger were very real. When the birthday girl's mom reviewed the security footage, she was able to piece together exactly what had happened. The man can clearly be seen peeking over the fence before making his move, which shows this was completely intentional. The whole thing sparked massive outrage, not just because of what he did, but because it could have easily ended in tragedy. Police were called, and the neighbor was taken to the station for questioning. In June of 2025, a stunning and terrifying clip recorded by a Ring home security camera went massively viral after showing the devastating force of a tornado that struck the Tampa Bay area in Florida, more specifically in the city of Largo. The storm was classified as an EF1 tornado, and it moved through the area overnight, bringing intense winds, heavy storms, and hail, leaving behind a significant trail of destruction in the early morning hours that followed. The footage captured by the camera shows something almost unbelievable. First, the roof of a house being violently ripped off by the wind and hurled through the air like it weighed absolutely nothing. Then, just seconds later, an entire house is lifted completely off the ground, suspended in the air for a brief moment before being slammed back down with brutal force. That kind of scene really shows you the extreme power of tornadoes, even those considered lower intensity on the scale. In this particular case, wind speeds reached approximately 177 kilometers per hour, which is more than enough force to tear entire structures from their foundations and send debris flying massive distances. The impact of the tornado was visible all across the affected area. Roofs were peeled off like tin cans, windows blew out, trees were snapped in half, and a huge number of personal belongings like pillows, lawn chairs, and even full pieces of furniture ended up scattered across the streets and surrounding areas of the neighborhood. What started as a moment of pure desperation ended up becoming a truly heroic act at a shopping mall in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, where a police officer saved the life of a 14-month-old baby who was choking on a chicken nugget. The whole thing was caught on security cameras, and it shows every bit of the tension that the mother, Anna Graham, was going through. The moment she realized her daughter Lucia couldn't breathe, she pulled her out of the stroller and desperately tried to clear the baby's airway on her own. When that didn't work, and already in full panic mode, she started screaming for help, which caught the attention of people nearby, and most importantly, two officers who happened to be at the mall, Robert Ayala and Rafael Guadalupe. Their response was immediate. Within seconds, both officers rushed over and took control of the situation. Officer Robert Ayala took the baby into his arms, turned her face down, and began performing the back blow maneuver, delivering firm strikes to the child's back. For the first few moments, nothing happened, which only made the tension even harder to bear. But keeping his composure and staying focused on the technique, he kept going until finally the piece of food was dislodged and the baby started breathing normally again. The entire rescue took about 1 minute, but in that moment, for everyone watching, it must have felt like an eternity. Right after the save, you could already see signs that the little girl was recovering, and the whole scene ended with an incredible wave of relief and emotion. Terrifying scene captured by security cameras in Illinois went viral after showing the moment a 5-year-old girl was caught off guard by a coyote while playing peacefully outside her home near Chicago. In the footage, the child, identified as Christine, appears completely distracted, walking through the garage and backyard with absolutely no idea of the danger creeping up behind her. Without her even noticing, the animal appears in the background and slowly begins to follow her, tracking her every move. For a few seconds, the scene feels almost eerily silent and tense, as if the coyote is carefully calculating the perfect moment to close in even further. Then, suddenly, Christine turns around, and that's the moment everything changes. The second she spots the animal right behind her, she panics and screams, immediately bolting toward the house. The coyote then speeds up and actually chases her for several meters, getting dangerously close, so close that according to Christine herself, she could actually feel the animal make contact with her. Even so, by some incredible luck and quick thinking, Christine manages to reach the front door and get inside before anything worse could happen. The incident got a huge amount of attention, largely because of just how close the danger really was, and because the family had never seen a coyote in that neighborhood before, which made the whole thing even more shocking. Despite that terrifying moment, the little girl wasn't physically hurt, but the experience served as a serious wake-up call about how increasingly common it's becoming to encounter wild animals in residential areas. Case involving content creator Ali Nasser Abulaban, known online as Jim Kid for his impressions and dubbing videos, shocked the public because it turned a popular internet personality into the main character of a brutal and very real crime. Abulaban had built up a massive following on social media through comedy videos and voice impressions. getting close to 1 million fans. But behind that online image, his personal life was falling apart. Excessive jealousy, drug use, and a deeply troubled relationship with his wife Anna were all major issues. Things got bad enough that she filed for divorce and obtained a restraining order against him. Even so, in October of 2021, he took things to an extreme. Using a spy app he had secretly installed on his own daughter's tablet, he began monitoring his wife remotely. When he heard another man's voice in her apartment, he went straight there, and when he walked in, he committed the crime, killing both his wife and her friend. What makes this case even more disturbing is that a huge portion of the evidence was actually created by the perpetrator himself. Beyond confessing to the crime, he recorded audio, sent messages, and even shared images afterward, which strongly reinforced the prosecution's argument that this was not an impulsive act, but something carried out with full intent and deliberate control.
I just like to burn to everybody else. I just like to burn.
During the trial, which took place in 2004, Abulaban admitted to the killings, claiming he lost control after believing he was being cheated on. But the jury wasn't buying it. They found clear evidence of premeditation and convicted him on 2 counts of first-degree murder. The sentence was brutal, and rightfully so. He got 2 consecutive life sentences with no possibility of parole, plus additional charges related to his use of a firearm. In November of 2019, a doorbell camera captured something seriously disturbing in a Los Angeles neighborhood. Around 11 o'clock at night, the silence of the street was shattered by desperate screams from a woman crying out for help, which immediately caught the attention of nearby residents. One of the neighbors heard the screaming, stepped outside to figure out what was going on, and that's exactly when the security system caught everything on camera. In the footage, even though the woman isn't directly visible, you can clearly hear her cries for help. Witnesses reported that the screams were coming from inside a vehicle, possibly a white car, that sped quickly through the area. Some people claimed they saw a woman inside the car being pulled by her hair while screaming, which raised suspicions of a possible kidnapping. Police were called immediately and did respond to the scene, but initially found no victim and no concrete evidence of a crime. It was only after the security camera footage was reviewed that the case gained more attention, leading authorities to open a deeper investigation and ask the public for help identifying those involved. What makes this story even more unsettling is precisely the lack of clear answers. Despite all the attention in the search for clues, for a long time there was no official confirmation about the identity of the woman or what actually happened that night. The case became known as one of the most disturbing recordings ever captured by a residential security camera, precisely because it only shows fragments of a possible tragedy, leaving the real outcome completely unknown, and that uncertainty is honestly the most haunting part of all. Back in 2016, in the city of Portland, Texas, a woman named Tracy Underwood was swimming in a pool with her 5-year-old daughter, Allison. What should have been a fun, relaxing moment turned into something terrifying when Tracy suddenly had a seizure, lost consciousness, and sank to the bottom of the pool, completely unresponsive and totally vulnerable. That's when little Allison realized something was very wrong. When she noticed her mom wasn't coming back up to the surface, she made an immediate, life-changing decision. Without hesitating for even a second, she dove in and, using every bit of strength her tiny body had, started pulling her mom toward the shallow end. As small as she was, she managed to do something incredibly difficult: drag an unconscious adult through the water. After several attempts, she was able to position her mom so that her head stayed above the surface, allowing her to breathe again. But Allison didn't stop there. Showing an even greater awareness of the situation, she ran inside the house looking for help, called for family members, who quickly called for emergency services. Doctors were clear afterward, if Tracy had remained underwater for just a few more minutes, she likely wouldn't have survived. What makes this story even more remarkable is that Allison had learned to swim very early, around 2 years old, something her family says was absolutely the deciding factor in her knowing exactly what to do in that moment. A video that went viral shows a woman casually riding her bike down a street, just a totally normal moment in her day. No sign whatsoever that anything unusual is about to go down, but it does. And yeah, it definitely gets people's attention. She's just cruising along on her bicycle, wearing a light skirt that's flowing and moving in the breeze as she picks up speed. Everything looks completely routine, until suddenly, out of nowhere, the fabric catches on an object right beside her. And in that instant, everything changes. The skirt she's wearing can't hold on, it comes loose, and ends up getting completely ripped off. The whole thing happens so fast, but it's incredibly embarrassing because it all goes down out in the open in a public space where other people could absolutely be watching the whole thing unfold right in front of them. Her reaction is immediate. Visibly surprised, she has no idea what just happened, she's trying to handle it while still in motion, and the discomfort and urgency to pull herself together are obvious. Back in 2017, in the state of Washington, a 16-year-old girl named Faye Headley was accused of taking part in a plot to kill one of her classmates, an 18-year-old named Ryan Vaughn, who also happened to be her ex-boyfriend. According to the investigation, she didn't act alone. Other students were also involved in the conspiracy. The plan, as laid out by authorities, was to lure the young man to a secluded area near the school during the lunch break. The idea was that he'd be ambushed there by another teen who was armed and ready to carry out the attack. And on the day they had planned, things actually started falling into place. Headley managed to convince Ryan to head over to that spot, but the plan fell apart before it could be executed. Other students noticed something suspicious: a young guy wearing a mask and carrying a knife. They alerted the school, and that's what caused the whole situation to be shut down before anything more serious could happen. During the investigation, Headley ended up making some pretty contradictory statements. At first, she reportedly admitted that the whole plan was to have her coworker killed, but later on, during the trial and in various interviews, she started walking all of that back, claiming she never actually wanted him dead and that her real intention was just for him to get beaten up over what she described as ongoing bullying. Despite that version of events, prosecutors argued there was more than enough evidence of premeditation, including text messages and the very specific way the meeting had been planned out. The jury ultimately sided with the prosecution, and Faye Headley was found guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. A case that happened in May of 2025 in Texas gained massive attention after security camera footage revealed an extremely violent and, at the same time, heroic scene. A woman was walking calmly down the street during the morning in a residential neighborhood when, completely out of nowhere, 3 dogs came out of a property and launched themselves at her. The attack was sudden and brutal. The animals knocked her to the ground and started biting her all over her body, leaving her with almost no chance to react while she desperately fought to protect herself. As the victim struggled to resist, a Vietnam War veteran identified as Pete Ramos Jr. was driving by and immediately recognized how serious the situation was. Without hesitating for a single second, he stopped his vehicle and ran straight toward the attack, putting his own safety on the line to save her. Using raw strength and courage, he managed to drive the dogs away by striking them and standing his ground against the animals until he was able to stop the assault, giving the victim a real chance to survive. The footage shows just how critical the situation was. The woman was being attacked by all 3 dogs at the same time, suffering serious injuries from head to toe, according to later reports. Thanks to the veteran's quick intervention, the attack was stopped before it could turn fatal. Emergency crews were called to the scene, and the victim was rushed to the hospital, where she received medical treatment. Despite the severity of her injuries, she survived, largely because of Ramos's decisive action, which earned him widespread recognition as a true hero. Something really unsettling happened in Auburn, Washington, and it's been making waves online after security camera footage captured an incredibly fast but terrifying moment at a late-night coffee drive-thru. The attendant was working alone when a man pulled up in a pickup truck and placed his order like everything was completely normal, nothing suspicious about it at all. But the moment she opened the window to hand him his change, everything changed in an instant. As soon as she reached her hand out with the money, the man suddenly grabbed her by the arm and yanked hard, trying to drag her right out of the building through that small drive-thru window. At the same time, he was holding what appeared to be some kind of plastic zip tie, possibly with the intention of restraining her during the attack. The whole thing happened so fast, it's almost hard to process, but the security footage caught every single second of it. And honestly, it's really difficult to watch. The whole thing happened incredibly fast and violently, but the victim reacted immediately. Even though she was caught off guard, she fought back, yanked her arm away with force, and managed to break free from the attacker. During the struggle, the money actually fell to the ground, while the suspect pushed for a few more seconds, but he eventually gave up once he realized he wasn't going to pull it off. Right after that, the employee managed to close the drive-thru window, blocking any further attempts. The man then fled the scene in his vehicle, leaving behind a tense moment that lasted only a few seconds, but could have ended in a much more serious way. One detail that really stood out in the video, and actually turned out to be crucial for the investigation, was a visible tattoo on the suspect's left forearm that appeared to spell out Chevrolet. That specific feature helped police identify him quickly after the footage was released to the public, and just like that, he was tracked down. An unusual scene, caught on a security camera, started getting a lot of attention because it supposedly showed what looked like two crimes happening at the exact same time. In the footage, we can see a man walking through the area while apparently holding a little girl by force, dragging her along with him. The girl looked visibly uncomfortable with the situation. And yeah, that whole thing definitely did not look right. But then, a woman walking in the opposite direction, carrying a bag, passes right by the man and the girl, completely ignores them both, and moments later drops her bag on the ground, revealing some pretty strange contents inside, which she's very quick to scoop back up before getting out of there as fast as she possibly can. As the footage spread online, people started questioning why the woman completely ignored what looked like a man forcing a girl to walk with him. And the explanation many people offered is that she wasn't exactly doing anything legal herself, because whatever was inside that bag didn't seem like something you'd want others to see, so she just wanted to leave and ignore everything else around her. So was this really two crimes caught on camera at the same time? Well, despite the video circulating widely across the internet, there's no concrete information about what actually happened, and the mystery remains. In this security camera footage from a tavern on the island of Crete in Greece, everything starts out completely normal. Customers are sitting at their tables, enjoying a meal, just a regular evening, when suddenly something goes very wrong. Among the guests, a man later identified as a British tourist is eating alongside a woman, and at first there's nothing unusual about the scene at all, but then everything shifts in a pretty dramatic way. The man begins showing clear signs of choking. He brings his hands to his chest and throat, jumps up from his chair, and starts pacing back and forth, visibly panicking and completely unable to breathe. The woman with him tries to help, but she doesn't really know what to do, and the people around them watch in shock, unable to step in effectively. And that's the critical moment when the restaurant's manager, Vasilis Patelikis, springs into action. The second he realizes what's happening, he rushes straight over to the man and without any hesitation, positions himself behind him to perform the Heimlich maneuver, a first aid technique used to clear a blocked airway. With firm, precise movements, he applies repeated thrusts to the man's abdomen, right in that area between the belly button and the chest. The whole thing takes only a few seconds, but those seconds are absolutely decisive. Almost immediately after being saved, the man shows clear relief, recovering from the shock, while everyone around him starts to realize just how serious that situation really was. What could have ended in complete tragedy is resolved in moments, all thanks to the manager's quick instincts and his knowledge of first aid. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss videos like this one.